Hi everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Before we start today's story, I have an exciting update. I've launched a new YouTube channel, Soulfelt Chronicles, where I'll be sharing more captivating stories. Please check it out. Show your support with a like and subscribe. The link is in the description box. So let's begin. I always thought that if my marriage ever ended, it would be because of something undeniable. A heartbreaking betrayal. A revelation so devastating that it left no room for doubt. Maybe I'd catch her sneaking out of a hotel with another man. Or maybe I'd find messages on her phone that shattered everything I believed in. But that's not how it happened. No, my marriage fell apart in the middle of a ballroom, under glittering chandeliers and the soft hum of a live band. And the worst part? She didn't even try to hide it. It was a charity gala, one of those upscale events Marjorie loved to drag me to. I never cared for them, but I went along because it made her happy. I was never the jealous or controlling type. I believed in trust, in giving my wife the freedom to be herself. But trust is a fragile thing. And that night, she shattered it with a single dance. The beginning of the end. We arrived at the venue dressed to impress. Marjorie looked stunning, as always, in a dark green dress that clung to her curves in all the right places. She had a way of drawing eyes without even trying. I used to love that about her. She held my hand as we walked in, flashing smiles at familiar faces, laughing at jokes from people I barely knew. Everything seemed normal. Just another night of socializing, playing the role of the supportive husband while she thrived in the spotlight. Then he arrived. At first, I didn't recognize him. A tall, confident man in a tailored suit, moving through the room like he owned it. But I noticed the flicker in Marjorie's eyes the moment she saw him. It was subtle, just a brief spark of excitement. But I noticed. Before I could ask anything, she excused herself. The next thing I knew, she was in his arms, swaying to the music as if nothing else in the world existed. As if I didn't exist. It wasn't just a dance. It was the way she moved with him, the way their bodies fit together so naturally. The way she looked up at him with a soft, playful smile. The same smile she used to give me. The music slowed. So did my heartbeat. My hands clenched into fists. Not in anger, but in something worse. Realization. This wasn't new. This wasn't innocent. This wasn't just a dance. People around me kept chatting, laughing, sipping champagne, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I felt like a ghost. Like I had already disappeared from her world, and she hadn't even noticed. That was the moment it hit me. She had already let go of me. She just hadn't bothered to tell me yet. The decision that changed everything. I could have confronted her right then and there. I could have stormed onto the dance floor, pulled her away, demanded answers. But what good would that have done? She had already made her choice, whether she realized it or not. So instead, I made mine. I turned around and walked away. Not just from the dance. Not just from the party. From her. And she had no idea just how much she was going to regret it. I walked out of that ballroom with my head held high, but inside, my world was collapsing. Every step I took away from that dance floor felt like a piece of my life breaking off and falling behind me. I didn't stop to check if she noticed. I didn't wait to see if she'd come after me. I already knew she wouldn't. The valet glanced at me strangely when I handed him my ticket. Maybe he sensed something was off. Maybe he saw the tension in my jaw, the way my hands clenched just a little too tightly. Or maybe I was just imagining things. My mind spinning too fast to hold on to reality. By the time my car pulled up, I had already made my decision. I wasn't going home. Home wasn't home anymore. Not with her in it. So I drove. Not aimlessly. Not in a blind rage, but with sharp, focused determination. I needed clarity. I needed to think without the suffocating presence of her betrayal clouding my judgment. I found myself at a late-night diner on the outskirts of town, the kind of place with cracked leather booths and a waitress who looked like she'd seen it all. I slid into a booth, ordered a coffee I didn't really want, and just sat there, staring at the swirling steam as if it held the answers I needed. How long had this been going on? How long had I been the fool, standing in the background while she played out some fantasy right in front of me? It wasn't just the dance. It wasn't just the way she looked at him. It was the way she didn't look at me. The way she hadn't looked at me in months. Had I really been so blind? The late nights at work that never used to happen. The sudden interest in her appearance. The way her phone never left her side anymore. The puzzle pieces had been there all along, but I had been too trusting to put them together. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the rage bubbling inside me. I wasn't the kind of man who lost control, but I also wasn't the kind of man who let himself be walked over. I pulled out my phone, my fingers hovering over her name. I could call her. I could demand answers. But what would she say? A weak excuse? A half-hearted lie? No, I wasn't going to give her that chance. Instead, I scrolled down, past the calls and messages, until I reached a contact I hadn't used in years. Nathan, my oldest friend. The one person who had always told me the truth, even when I didn't want to hear it. I hit the call button. He picked up on the second ring. Elliot? Man, it's been a while. What's going on? I hesitated for only a second before making the words real. She's cheating on me, Nate. Silence. Then finally a sigh. Where are you? I gave him the address. Stay there. I'm on my way. I put the phone down and stared at my reflection in the window. I had walked away from that ballroom, from that moment of betrayal, but I wasn't done. Not yet. This wasn't just about leaving. This was about making sure she understood exactly what she had lost. I drove home with a strange sense of calm washing over me. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. The anger, the hurt, the humiliation. It was all still there, burning inside me. But now there was something else. Clarity. Purpose. Marjorie had made her choice the second she disappeared into another man's arms. The second she acted like I was nothing more than an afterthought. She just didn't know yet that I had made mine too. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. I sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, trying to prepare myself for whatever I was about to walk into. Was she home? Had she come back already, pretending nothing happened? Or was she still at that gala? Still in his arms? Still laughing and dancing like a woman who had no idea her husband had just walked out on her? I stepped inside and immediately knew the answer. The house was eerily quiet, undisturbed. Her purse wasn't on the table near the door where she always left it. The heels she usually kicked off after a night out weren't in the hallway. She wasn't home. I should have felt angry, but instead, a cold sense of finality settled over me. She hadn't called, hadn't texted, not even a weak excuse or a fake concern about where I had gone. That told me everything I needed to know. I walked through the house slowly, my footsteps echoing in the silence. Felt different now, like a place I no longer belonged. Or maybe it was Marjorie who didn't belong here anymore. I went straight to the bedroom, opened the closet, and stared at the neatly hung rows of my suits, her dresses, the life we had built together packed neatly into hangers and shelves. Then I grabbed a duffel bag and started packing. Not everything. Not yet. Just enough. Enough to leave a message. To make it clear that I wasn't going to sit around waiting for her to decide when she felt like coming home. I threw in clothes, essentials, my laptop. Then I moved to the nightstand, grabbed my documents, passport, bank statements, the kind of things a man needs when he's about to take control of his own life again. By the time I was done, the room still looked the same. But I knew it wasn't. Because I wasn't. I walked out, duffel slung over my shoulder, locking the door behind me like a man closing the chapter on a life that no longer existed. Nathan didn't ask questions when I showed up at his place just before midnight. Bag in hand, he just stepped aside and let me in. Spare room's yours, he said, nodding toward the hallway. I set the bag down by the couch instead. I won't be here long. Just need a place to think. Nathan didn't push, didn't offer empty words of comfort. That wasn't his style. Instead, he went to the kitchen, grabbed 2 beers, and handed me one. She call yet? I shook my head, taking a sip. Nope. He exhaled sharply through his nose. Figures. She's probably still at the party. Or with him. I didn't flinch, didn't react. I had already considered that possibility, already made peace with it in my own way. I don't care where she is. What matters is what I do next. Nathan studied me carefully, then nodded. So what's the plan? I leaned forward, resting my forearms on my knees, the weight of everything finally settling in. I need to find out everything, I said. Who he is, how long this has been going on, if she's been about more than just tonight. Nathan smirked. So you want the full picture before you decide how to drop the hammer? I let out a short, humorless laugh. Something like that, because I wasn't just going to confront her. I was going to make sure she had nowhere to hide when I did. Morning came too quickly, but I hadn't slept anyway. I sat in Nathan's guest room, the dim glow of my laptop screen illuminating my face as I pieced together the fragments of my unraveling marriage. Marjorie still hadn't called. No messages. No sign that she had even realized I was gone. That told me everything. Nathan knocked lightly before pushing the door open, a mug of coffee in one hand. He took one look at my face and shook his head. You didn't sleep? No time for that. I took the coffee, nodding in thanks, then turned the laptop toward him. Look at this. On the screen was the guest list from the gala, publicly available through the charity's website. I had combed through every name, every connection until I found him. Benjamin Caldwell. Nathan whistled low. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. I snapped my head up. You know him? Oh yeah, Nathan muttered, rubbing his chin. Caldwell's a smooth talker. Works in real estate. Married, but his wife left him a year ago. Heard rumors it was because he couldn't keep it in his pants. I clenched my jaw. Sounds about right. Nathan eyed me carefully. So what's next? I leaned back, exhaling slowly. I'm not walking into this blind. I want to know exactly how deep this goes before I make a move. Nathan was silent for a moment, then said, I might know a guy who can help with that. By midday, I was sitting in a coffee shop with a man named Lucas, an old friend of Nathan's who had a knack for uncovering secrets. Lucas set his phone down after typing a few things. Give me 24 hours. If she's been sneaking around, I'll find out. I shook his hand, feeling a sense of control creeping back in. Thanks, Lucas smirked. Don't thank me yet. By the time I got back to Nathan's, my phone buzzed. I pulled it out, my stomach tightening. Marjorie, where are you? I stared at the screen, my pulse steady. So she had finally noticed. I didn't reply. Less than a minute later, another message. Why did you leave? I let out a slow breath, shaking my head. She wasn't asking out of worry. She wasn't apologizing. She just wanted to know why I hadn't played my usual role. She was testing the waters. I didn't bite. Instead, I put my phone face down on the table and waited, because soon I'd have the answers. And when I did, she wouldn't just regret that dance. She'd regret everything. Let's see how she likes it when I finally disappear. I sat in the passenger seat of Nathan's truck, the weight of the truth pressing down on me like a boulder. The images Lucas had shown me were burned into my brain. Marjorie smiling, laughing, kissing another man while I sat at home, believing she was someone she wasn't. Nathan drove in silence, but I could feel him watching me out of the corner of his eye. You good? He finally asked. I exhaled slowly, staring out the window. Yeah, it was a lie. I wasn't good. I wasn't even close. But I knew what I had to do. We pulled up to Nathan's house, and I didn't waste any time. I walked inside, grabbed my laptop, and pulled up my email. Lucas had already sent the files, photos, dates, locations. A full, undeniable record of my wife's betrayal. And now it was time to decide how to use it. Nathan leaned against the counter, watching me. So, what's the plan? I clicked through the images, my jaw tightening with every one. I'm not going to argue with her. Not going to let her gaslight me or spin some pathetic excuse. Nathan smirked. So, you're going for the silent treatment? I shook my head. I'm going to let her bury herself. Nathan raised an eyebrow. How? I tapped my fingers against the table, my mind racing. She still hasn't called. Just those 2 texts. That means she's testing the waters, trying to figure out what I know. Nathan nodded. Yeah. She's waiting for you to come crawling back. Business as usual. Exactly, I muttered. So, I'm going to let her think she's still in control. Nathan grinned. I like where this is going. I picked up my phone and finally typed a response. Me, we need to talk. A few minutes later, she responded. Marjorie, are you okay? You just left without saying anything. There it was. No apology. No concern about what I might have seen or what I might be thinking. Just a carefully worded attempt to minimize what happened. I waited a full 10 minutes before replying. Me, I don't want to do this over text. I'll be home in an hour. Nathan leaned over, reading the messages. You're playing it cool. I set my phone down. If she thinks she still has the upper hand, she won't have her defenses up. She'll try to spin it. Nathan chuckled. And that's when you dropped the hammer. I stood, grabbed my bag, and slung it over my shoulder. Time to see just how deep this rabbit hole goes. I pulled into the driveway right on time. The house looked exactly as I had left it. Too quiet, too normal, like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I walked in, and there she was, standing in the kitchen, her face carefully arranged in a mask of concern. Elliot, where have you been? I was worried. I let the silence stretch for a moment, watching her. She didn't move toward me, didn't try to touch me, because she wasn't actually worried. She was calculating, trying to gauge my mood, trying to figure out how much trouble she was in. I set my bag down by the door and crossed my arms. I was out, thinking. She frowned. You just disappeared. I didn't know what to think. I tilted my head. Did you even try to call me? That made her pause just for a fraction of a second. But it was enough. I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk, she said, choosing her words carefully. You seemed upset, and I didn't want to pressure you. I let out a slow breath and nodded. Okay. She hesitated, waiting for me to say something else. When I didn't, she shifted, crossing her arms. So, do you want to talk about why you left? I met her gaze. Why do you think I left? Another pause. Another quick calculation. I don't know, she said finally. You just walked out. I thought we were having a good time. I almost laughed. A good time? I repeated. You were dancing with him like I wasn't even there. Marjorie sighed, shaking her head. Elliot, it was just a dance. That's all. There it was. The first attempt at minimizing it. I nodded, keeping my expression unreadable. Just a dance. She softened her voice, stepping closer. I know you don't love these events, but I didn't think it would bother you. He's just a friend. A friend. I felt the anger coil inside me, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and calmly opened the email from Lucas. I turned the screen toward her, letting her see the first image. Her, with Benjamin, locked in an embrace, kissing. Her face went pale. I scrolled to the next one. Another night, another place, another moment of betrayal. Marjorie staggered back like I had slapped her. Elliot, I held up a hand, cutting her off. Don't. Just don't. Her mouth opened and closed, her mind scrambling for a way out. A way to twist this, to turn the blame on me. But there was nothing she could say. I had all the proof I needed, and I wasn't going to let her talk her way out of this one. Marjorie stood frozen, her face drained of color. Finally, she swallowed hard and whispered, Elliot, please, I can explain. I shook my head, slipping my phone back into my pocket. No, you can't. She took a hesitant step forward. It wasn't what it looks like. I let out a quiet laugh, not out of humor, but disbelief. Not what it looks like. Marjorie, I have pictures, dates, locations. If you're about to insult me with another lie, don't bother. Her lower lip trembled. I never meant to hurt you. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I saw her for what she really was. Someone who didn't respect me. Someone who took my loyalty for granted. And suddenly, I felt nothing for her. No more anger. No more heartbreak. Just relief. I know, I said, my voice calm, because you never thought I'd find out. Tears welled in her eyes. Elliot, please. I'm done, Marjorie. Her breath hitched. What do you mean? I exhaled slowly, the finality of it sinking in. I mean, I deserve better, And with that, I walked out, closing. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.